Welcome back to 83 Till Infinity. This is Disco Trek, our Star Trek Discovery podcast. Today we're talking season 3, episode 8. Episode 8, yeah. The title was The Sanctuary, directed by Jonathan Frakes, and the writers were Kenneth Lynn and Brandon Schultz. Let's go straight to scores. Alex, what'd you give this one?
I think 4 would be generous. I'm going to go with a 1 thumbs down 4.
All right, 4. And Jesse?
-1.
-1.
-1.
Undefined. This is going to break our graph.
I'm not going to try to like this show anymore. I'm going to say this right now. Star Trek: The Next Generation is Star Trek. The other series aren't important, and this one shouldn't exist.
Oh, man. The comments are really going to like that one.
Not controversial
they should.
at all there.
Yeah.
I'm going to give this one a 4. But my 4, I'm going to explain the way that I'm watching this show now to you guys when we get into the episode. And maybe under my new scoring rubric, it might be like a 6. Yeah. Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there's people who would say, like when I'm like, I don't like this show. They'd be like, well, it's not for you. Mm-hmm. And I think when you say that, it's shorthand for you not being able to defend a stupid show that's awful and poor. So what you do instead is you're like, maybe it's just not for you. Mm-hmm. And that I would respond, maybe you should get checked for COVID because you have no taste.
Contemporary 2020 joke.
Burn.
Oh, see, I can keep up with the times.
Yeah, I guess
the show's just bad.
Yeah, we just figured out the burn. Jesse had it the whole time.
Now, from a medical point of view, do you actually lose taste as well, or is it just smell? Oh,
it's one of the. It's
just so we don't get flagged for. Yeah, just so we don't get flagged for COVID misinformation.
No. I mean, I have an aunt who got COVID, and now Star Trek Enterprise is her favorite show. So,
there you go.
Man, I don't know. Do you really have to go after Enterprise as well? That just seems like low-hanging fruit.
It's like kicking somebody while they're down. I leave Enterprise alone.
Wait. What's better, Discovery or Enterprise?
Okay, don't make me choose.
I'm making you choose. I want you to choose right now.
You know what?
I'll say Discovery. You know what? If we ignore this season, Discovery is still better.
Yeah. I would say
Discovery is
that.
Still better.
On a balance.
From the ridiculousness perspective, I'd say that Enterprise still beats it because they had Chief Engineer George Bush.
Trip was it Trip?
Yeah, Trip.
Yeah.
If Discovery had Chief Engineer Donald Trump, it would beat Enterprise for sure. Can you imagine if Stamets was just like a demagogue?
I mean,
there's no ship that's better than this. This ship is tremendous. It's a tremendous ship.
It's the best ship.
No, but it does it better.
But it is actually the best ship. That's the problem, is that he's right.
Yeah. I am the only one who can save us. The Spore Drive, it's incredible. Unbelievable.
It's me. I made the Spore Drive. It's the best drive.
I invented it. It's the best drive.
It is. I mean, like, if it existed, it is the best drive.
Yeah,
I don't want to say, like, it is actually the most.
No, it is.
Well, it's a drive that runs on mushrooms and is faster than any sort of warp drive that they've ever come up with before. It is easily the best drive.
Yeah, absolutely is.
Like mushrooms and tardigrades. Okay, plot prediction stuff. The burn. We'll get into this in more detail, but we accurately predicted the burn in a joke. Once again, joke predictions coming to life. We should not do joke predictions anymore. I believe in the episode where Lieutenant Non left the Discovery to stay on that seed ship, and they were playing that music, and then Adira, in the previous episode, when they went to the Trill homeworld, was playing that song on the cello. We said, I guarantee you that this is going to be some silly, everything is connected. The music is, being transmitted through subspace to everybody. And that's why it's been embedded in their subconscious and it exists on all these planets. And that actually turned out to be like some writer actually thought this was going to be clever and put it in their story. Like it sounds like a short story that you write in 11th grade, and like, this is super deep, man. It's so deep. Everything's connected. There's music. The music connects us all. I have more thoughts.
I'm so curious to see how dumb that music thing is, like when they reveal what it is.
Uh-huh.
Yep, me too.
Yeah. Main character deaths, there were none this episode.
Georgiou's close though. I mean, she's definitely gonna die.
Well, she might already be dead. Who knows? Maybe she
could be dead.
Maybe she was never alive in the first place. Although the
what I didn't get is they were going to deconstruct her, and I'm sitting there and I'm like, what is happening? Like to me, like this should just be a simple brain scan, but they're like, we're going to take you apart. And then when I thought for sure they were saying that she was a hologram because like her face started coming apart, but that just seemed to be part of what they were doing.
Yeah.
And
I was like, I was like, that would, like that doesn't seem right. Like that looks like a hologram.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, that doesn't seem like the type of thing that the human body could, just endure as part of a medical procedure. And if it were, like, they like to explain like future space stuff to us. This is like Geordie's baffle gab. That's the type of thing that you explain away, well, this new 32nd century procedure, and it involves, stretching people's faces out in really cool ways that we can do in post. So we're going to do that, and it's going to fix everything.
Yeah. It makes me wonder if like the effect came before the need for the effect. Somebody was like, hey, Mr. Frakes, like check this out. And like, I can do this cool thing. They're like, okay, let's make it a medical scan.
For sure.
Like, it was strange. It was strange.
Definitely, like somebody always wanted to use that effect, and they just found some way to shoehorn it in.
That's exactly how I felt.
What is the burn? So yeah, the music and captain watch. Saru's still the captain, but Tilly's nipping at his heels. I think she'll be captain by the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, Is Georgiou more likely or Tilly more likely to be captain by the end of the season, I guess is the question.
I mean, on this show, Tilly. I think Georgiou gets a spinoff that's darker, and the happy-go-lucky, plucky Discovery crew continues on their adventures with Captain Tilly at the helm. That's my prediction.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think they'll get a new captain next season. I think that's the thing. So who's going to spend a season as captain, then they're going to get a new captain.
But who? Like who? Just bring in a random?
And they're going to go back to their own timeline because I think, or something close to it, because Georgiou's series can't take place in the future, I don't think. So I think something will happen. By the end of the season, they'll reverse the burn and they'll fix the future, and
I think they'll
send a little starship that could.
I think they'll send her back. She'll do a reverse Michael Burnham, where she irrevocably goes into the past, but in the Terran timeline to stop whatever catastrophe destroyed the Terran timeline, because somehow the degradation in the Terran timeline is also affecting their timeline, and if they don't restore it, then they're all going to die. Something silly like that. Like everything, again, they can't just be they go to a planet and save the planet. It has to be they go to a universe and save the entire universe every single season.
Yeah, everything.
Yeah.
Because Control was going to wipe out all life as we know it, and they saved everybody from that.
Yeah.
Greatest achievement ever in universal history.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can't take that away from her.
Yeah.
Can't take it away from her.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, it would be, now that they're back in the future, and Starfleet knows about this, there isn't really much reason to classify it anymore. You would think that they've passed the point with artificial intelligence where Control could cause them any harm. So...
Well, maybe they don't want Control to figure out how to go to the future, to think like, oh, they're in the future, I'll go to the future.
Well, how's it ever, like, you know what I mean? Like, how's Control ever going to, if Control doesn't exist because they went into the future, then is there really a harm of them letting their guard down about Discovery? Like, I'm saying, like, the declassification of Discovery's exploits in future Starfleet, right?
Well, Control still is still somewhere, right? Oh no, because they took the dude into the future and he had the censor.
Yeah.
He was Control.
Yeah.
Which doesn't make sense because it seemed like control could be in multiple places.
Well, yeah, it's a
before,
computer.
and you think,
like this is
you just think that it's like you take that. It's like, well, they knocked out that server, but that was it, right?
Yeah.
Like that guy's gone. But
it's the smartest AI ever. Didn't think to make backups of itself.
I travel in one body. That's how I roll. Oh, I go to the future. They killed me. It's over. I mean, you think that there would have been copies of it everywhere. Like, wouldn't it be on Starfleet's like mainframe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are nerds. Is that a word? Is that a thing that like
Starfleet
have a mainframe?
Yeah.
Yeah. They use the net.
Yeah. They're on the web.
They're on the web. Yeah.
They got Netscape. They got the Netscape.
Yeah. It's all up in the Netscape. It's causing pop-ups. See those pop-ups? That's control.
Control has a GeoCities website.
Yeah.
Very modern.
It stores half of its data in a Microsoft Paint file.
Yeah.
It's future-proof.
You'll never find it. It's hidden in those pixels there. Okay, episode chat. Quick rundown of this episode. So they just got the data from Vulcan. They processed the data. They find out where the burn is.
Navarre. Yeah. For the last time.
Sorry.
No one cares. I'm just kidding. Nobody cares. Nobody cares if it's Navarre.
They process the Navarre data and the black box data and find out that the burn had an origin point and find out where it was and figure out that there's a signal coming from that place. But then they don't bother to go because Book's brother wants him to help him with something. And so they all go to Book's brother's planet, which is weird because Book said that his family were, grifters and assassins and thieves, but his brother seems to have an entire planet that he's in charge of, which doesn't strike me as the type of thing that a thief would have. So I guess they just forgot that they said that in like the second or first episode.
Yeah. That one was strange, but I think that it's implying that he's a shady character and that his family is shady, which I think still holds up because they're like clearly in with the cartel. Yeah,
except they run a planet.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I feel like, I don't know. It's like saying that if you're a Cardassian or if you're a Romulan in the TNG timeline or a Ferengi, and you talk to the Ferengi and it's like, oh, what does your family do? They wouldn't say, oh, we're unscrupulous businessmen. like that would be normal
they
for them.
Might, but they'd say it as a source of pride.
They run. His brother is responsible for the entire planet. Nobody else even makes any decisions. The Osyraa comes and is like, your people are gonna starve, and the only person she needs to talk to is him. So he's like president of the goddamn planet. Like he's not some shady businessman.
It's a pretty empty looking planet.
Oh yeah.
Though.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of people who all wear the same color clothing. Like everyone's like, we like this, like these black stuff. Wait, have you seen Waterworld? Like that.
But in a forest.
In a perpetual fall where all the leaves are yellow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We run a planet like this.
Yeah.
Again.
I also thought it was very strange that the planet was empty of inhabitants. And they're like, you look at it from space and they're like, oh, this is the sanctuary. It's like, okay. So like, where is everybody? Like we see
it a sanctuary
less than 10 people.
Why is this called a sanctuary?
Yeah. We went to one person's house. Like the set guy's like, okay, guys, we got one house. It's like, all right, that's where we'll film everything.
They didn't have the budget left for like an outside shot of an overhead shot of a city to establish where you are or something, because it can't just be him and the people in his house who live on the planet, because she's like, I'm going to bombard the planet from space with photon torpedoes and kill everybody.
Right.
And they're like, millions will die. So there are a lot of people on this planet. They're just in hiding. And apparently they're going to starve because they have no agriculture. Which is weird, because what kind of sanctuary is this where if you go there you starve and die? It can't be a sanctuary if it can't grow its own food.
It's not named very well.
No.
It's a trap.
And they have that weird problem with the sea, whatever those things are, the little floaty moth things that are like eating they're like locusts. They're sea locusts. That's what they are. And they're eating all their food. And it's, you've got to use your psychic powers to get rid of them.
Mm-hmm. Or you can just find out a way to eat them.
Yeah, that's probably a good solution.
Probably made of protein.
Yeah, they should eat those. Anyway, they go there. His brothers, I don't know, gonna betray him to Osyraa, who's super evil. You can tell because of the way she talks, and she feeds her nephew to a trance worm to show how evil she is. Ooh. And she has a long.
She's got an oversized.
She got
ring.
an oversized pointy ring. Yeah, she's evil.
You know, when you see someone with that, they're evil. It's an evil person's ring.
So she's basically like Cruella de Vil. She feeds her nephew to the trance worm, and then she's, I don't know, wants Book for some reason, and is going to destroy this planet to get him. Then
I think she's the worst. Like, I actually think this actress did a horrible job. I feel like this villain has no presence. You don't believe that she's a bad guy. It felt like someone who's like a mid-level manager at a company someplace, who tries to sound smarter and more imposing than she is, but she's just, the whole time I'm listening to her, I'm like, I don't believe that anyone would be scared of her. I'm going to feed you to a transform, nephew. You've disappointed me. Hey, Discovery, who are you? You're going to regret this. And you're like, okay, well, probably not. It doesn't sound like we're going to regret it. They should have got Giancarlo Esposito. I mean, that guy knows how to put a wig on him, paint him green. There's your Osyraa.
Yeah, there's your bad guy. So she starts bombarding the planet because she wants Book. Saru, I don't know, they decide that it's within the Federation guidelines for them to stop her from destroying this planet, even though they're not supposed to put Discovery at risk. So they engage with Osyraa's ship, and for some reason they put Detmer, the helmsman, they take her off of the ship and put her on Book's ship and use it as an attack fighter.
It was very Battlestar Galactica. It was very strange.
And then she goes full manual control. That was like an NCIS moment where they're like, all right, you kids, let me show you how it's done. I learned how to fight with a flight stick and a throttle. I'm going to do it by hand. While the, what's the name of that character? The one who Ren? Yeah. He is betraying Osyraa and telling her the weak spot in her ship's shields by pointing at it, which was awesome. He's like right there, 3:00. She's like, I know where you're talking about.
It all looks like sheet metal. Like, I don't know how. There. Look,
It's
there's
right
the weak
there.
spot. Get it. Go full manual.
Use the Force.
Got any Beastie Boys? Put it on. Put it on.
Use the Force, Detmer. And then she sort of closes her eyes and goes full manual, and she finds the weak point in the shields and causes a whole bunch of direct structural damage to the ship, and the craziest thing happens. This woman, Osyraa, and her giant ship that she was using to destroy an entire planet and kill millions of people, they're at the point where they can disable it, but they decide to stand down and just let her leave. So she just leaves, and then Book and his brother hug, and they do the Book magic because their family can do that magic, and I believe that's the end of the episode. Oh yes, Georgiou. Also, Georgiou goes to the doctor, even though she doesn't want to go to the doctor, but she does want to go to the doctor, and Michael Burnham makes her go to the doctor. It's like if you have like a great aunt who's like clearly sick and doesn't want to go see the doctor until you take her. It was one of those things. So Michael Burnham takes her to the doctor, and then she's like, I don't want you to see me having my procedure done. Go away. And so Michael Burnham leaves, and they stretch her face out and stuff, and they find out that she's dying. That's the conclusion that they get. I don't really remember getting much detail about what's wrong with her.
No, I think they were sparse on details.
Yeah. I think it's going to have to do with that weird eugenics plot that the writers, for some reason, put in here, where they said that the entire human race in an entire dimension is genetically inferior to the humans in the prime dimension, because their genes are just, flawed. So she's just gonna die. It doesn't seem to jibe well with how genetics typically works with natural selection. Why your entire species would have this genetic defect that makes it inevitable that you're all just going to die. I don't understand, but sure. So yeah, that's at the end of the episode. Culber goes to her and she says, "I'm going to die. I understand." And he says, "It's not that simple." And then they sort of go off and presumably she's going to get more details that we'll find out about in the next episode. And that's the episode. Okay. Episode chat. Who wants to go first? How about
I will go first. So the first thing I wanted to talk about briefly is the same thing I think I say every week because I want to like the show, is that I do like Saru as a Federation captain. He tries to do the Federation captain-y things. I thought it was a little weird in this episode that he was so quick to before they left, when he's talking to the Admiral, he makes a good case for like why they have to go and help this planet out. And so that was great Federation Starship-y kind of thing. But then when they actually get there, he like instantly engages in combat, and it was, which wasn't my favorite part, but I do like that that he's trying to like be like he's still doing the sell, right? Like every planet they go to, you feel like he's doing the hard sell on, like, okay, you guys are going to join the Federation too, so that, you know, like in a few more episodes, the gang's all going to get together, and Saru's going to be responsible for like quadrupling the size of the Federation just by himself. Yeah,
it's going to be. Everybody's going to be like, we joined up because of that Saru guy. Where's he? And then he's made himself, integral to the Federation, so they can't ever get rid of him. He knows how to play his cards.
I kind of hate how it's like they show up and they're like, it's like the future. None of the future people could figure out anything. Yeah. And, you know, within a week of Discovery showing up, it's like, oh, man, we're getting all these new members. We're going to figure out the burn. This one ship with these people from 1,000 years ago showed up, and they're figuring out everything.
Right.
You know, that would be the equivalent of, you know, like, again, somebody from the Middle Ages showing up here. You know, I don't know.
Have you tried leeches?
Yeah. It's like,
have you checked their
COVID, you say?
Yeah. We can't figure out this COVID thing. And it's like, I have leeches in a jar, my lord. Perhaps we should put them on everyone.
It is very much like that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, holy crap, the leeches worked.
That would be the funniest part, though. That absolutely would be, is like if doctors just started putting leeches on people who are like, we don't know why, but it works.
But it drives me crazy that these people that are 1,000 years old are consistently the smartest people in the room and have the most information.
Yeah.
They figure everything out.
No, even with like the Vulcans, the Romulans.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're like, well, we thought we started it. We never figured it out.
And then we never stopped. Yeah. Is that we never finished our investigation. We just thought it was us. We were super embarrassed, and then we stopped ever investigating.
Like, I think it's like honestly, sometimes I think about this show and I'm like, it's very lucky that they don't have old timey, like, you know, Klingons that are just guys painted brown. And because if they did, it would very much just look like, you know, colonialism in space. Like, all of these other species of people are inferior. And then the superior people from the past just show up and solve all of their problems. And you have to join up with our Federation because you idiots couldn't possibly figure out anything. Look what you've done with yourself. You had 1,000 years and you've done nothing.
Again, I've complained about it so much, but I feel like it's just the sloppiest, least imaginative writing I've ever seen in a sci-fi series.
All right, so your brown paint people leads me to another thing I wanted to complain about, which is the color of Osyraa, and it's very green. If you throw a still at like 555-ish, and so oh my god, so I know this has come up a few times in the last couple of years, but people talk about lighting people of color and how difficult it is to light darker skinned people, and how like one of the reasons that we have a lot less leading roles that are led by people of color. One of the reasons is that it's actually difficult from a technological point of view. All of our lighting is set up for one skin tone. All of our editing is set up for one skin tone. That being said, I just want to say that I think this actually looks really, really bad. Like, actually, this does not look like a AAA production put this together. It's bad, and obviously the reason the lighting is so screwed up is because of her body paint. But I just think like all of the aliens look pretty good, and these guys look, what are they called? The Andorians, I think.
Orions.
They look terrible.
Yeah,
Orions, thank you. Yeah,
but they're like,
they make great dancers.
They're like
the racist strippers.
They're like partner species or something like that, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
She looks really terrible. She looks exactly like Bert said. She looks like they took somebody and put paint on her, because
she looks like the Wicked Witch of the West from the 1940s.
Yeah. She does.
Right? That's exactly what she is. And she basically says, "I'll get you, my pretties," at the end of this.
She does. I actually wrote down a joke that was going to make some kind of joke like that, but I mean, I was like, no. She just looks bad. Yeah. I really did not like her. And like Jesse alluded to earlier, I think one of the things that's taken away from her scariness is just her ambience, her overall atmosphere provided is not scary. It's not good. It's just, it's just not great.
She's just, she's very evil. She's like evil to her bone. Like, you know,
killed her own
musical theater evil.
She goes to great lengths to point out that she didn't like his father or him, and that they were both dum-dums.
But yet she gave him like carriage over an entire planet, her like salvage planet. Got beat by 1,000-year-old spacecraft.
But the spore drive does give them some advantages. But fair.
I mean, she got beat by somebody flying a spaceship manually. Okay.
Manually. All right. So, Bert, it's the future, and you are trying to schedule a security briefing for a bunch of people. Like, think of what the best way to do it in 1,000 years.
Inter-office mail. I would have an envelope and I'd write it on there, and then I'd have a whole staff of people whose job it is to just take the envelopes and walk them from place to place, because we have no technology in the future.
Funny that you say that, because a giant PA announcing every meeting as they're walking through the halls seems to be the future solution to scheduling meetings. It's like, there will be a security briefing in 5 minutes. Like, why is this on a PA system? Why isn't this on their comlinks? Their futuristic comlinks that let them teleport through matter, but they haven't figured out a scheduling app for their. I mean,
Monday.com people. Don't they get YouTube ads?
It really blew my mind.
I want it to be like the scene in an airplane when it's like the white zone is for parking only. No, the red zone is for parking.
Yeah, exactly. So the next thing I want to talk about very briefly is it's Adira talking to Stamets, and it's a difficult scene because she's trying to talk about the correct pronouns to talk to her, and I know that this is a squishy issue in modern day life, in real life here. But as we've talked about before, this isn't modern day. This is futurism, and I want to believe that a conversation like this wouldn't be necessary because it wouldn't happen. Yeah. There are asexual aliens. There are aliens that have no genders. There's aliens that have both genders. I really feel like this is a scene that is it's good to exist, but it does take away from my futurism, and it really did take me out of the sequence. And I think we saw it coming too, like, because we've briefly talked about this before, but it was hard. It was hard because I want to believe that, like I said, in the future, that these kinds of tough conversations don't actually need to happen.
Yeah. I mean,
it's like the scene in the original series when they have the Abraham Lincoln thing on the ship, and he uses a racist word to refer to her, and Uhura and Kirk are like, oh, that word doesn't mean anything for us anymore because humanity moves so far beyond that. So it doesn't offend us because it's not relevant in any context for us. And you think like, oh, well, that's how far humanity got, to the point where not only did they move beyond racism, but they moved so far beyond it that it doesn't hurt anybody anymore. There's no, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And maybe that wasn't realistic, but at least, Roddenberry was trying to say, this is how far we're going to get. But here it's like, this is a conversation that you would think would happen with somebody's superior now.
Yeah.
Right. This is not a future. And number one, you think it shouldn't be happening in Stamets' time, let alone somebody who's 1,000 years more advanced than Stamets. You think she'd just be like, why do you guys still even have genders? What's wrong with you? Why are you all gendered?
Well, that's
like,
the thing.
You know what I mean? Like, you think like, what does he mean? What does she mean? What are those words, right?
I think that it was like this show going 1,000 years into the future. If you want to tackle these issues and you really want to do it in a science fiction way, they get to the future and they keep referring to people by gendered pronouns, and the people are just like, oh, sorry, what is, I'm sorry, I can't understand your old English. We refer to one another as, Z, or like one of the like non-gendered pronouns has just become the default for everybody, and that is how language works in the future, so that the audience is confronted with the fact that this is an inevitability. And so 1,000 years in Discovery's future and the original series future, and 1,200 or 1,300 years in our future, the humanity will have progressed. It's sort of an optimistic way of looking at things, whereas this is sort of a less optimistic way of looking at things, or at least it tackles an issue which is an important one, but instead of doing it through the fiction, really, it sort of just presents you with the present day conversation and just makes the point in a more direct sort of way, rather than.
And even the look Stamets gives her is like, it's like, oh, I'm so proud of you. It's like this, like, it's like, what a brave person. And it's like, what I mean? Like, it just
if
feels...
you think about it, it's a really depressing thought. Like, if you think about the fact that Stamets one of his subordinates would have that conversation with him in the year, 3183 or whatever it's supposed to be. And he is like, not at all surprised by the fact that she feels the need to have this conversation, but is also sort of proud of her for having overcome all of the trepidation and fear and anxiety that would come with having that conversation. Like, the fact that he expects that all of those feelings would still be associated with it, because clearly the society that she's grown up with makes it a shameful or dangerous thing to have this conversation. That's really depressing to think about, because it means that the writer is saying that, basically, I don't care how much time passes, people are still going to be crappy and we're never going to get past this. That's not what I want to see. And Picard had the same issue. If you remember, Raffi, they made,
which in Canada is a children's singer that everyone remembers, and so like if you're Canadian, like you called her Raffi.
Raffi Kavukian.
Come on, son.
Did you know that he is?
Yeah, exactly. Everyone knows Raffi in Canada. So Raffi, who famously calls Captain Picard JL, is in a future society that has they're post scarcity, and she has somehow been turfed out of Starfleet because of him, and completely loses it, becomes a drug addict, is homeless, and neglects her son. So she's basically every stereotype about Black people now. Well, but addicted to drugs, living in a trailer in the desert. It's like, I live in a trailer park and I'm addicted to drugs. You go back to your vineyard, JL. Go back to your wealthy life. I'll sit here and smoke future drugs, or breathe them in, or do whatever you're supposed to do with future drugs.
I get, and they're just they want to talk about issues from today, but they don't want to be creative, and so they just throw it in there. But it's sort of insulting, because it says that we don't care what the circumstances are, Black people are still going to be drug addicts who can't raise their kids. Like, that's insulting. That's an insulting plot line. In a perfect future where there's post scarcity and nobody has want for any of their sort of basic needs, still, supposedly, black people just can't get it together. We're going to put one black character in there and she's going to be, a welfare queen. Thanks a lot, Star Trek. Like, I don't understand who's in these writers' room. It's driving me crazy.
Right. And just super quick clarification, just in case we get annihilated in the comments. They are non-binary, so we don't really know exactly what that means. So, just before people start yelling at us,
Sorry, I think we misgendered them a bunch too. So, I mean, apologies for that. I think it's because they were talking about them as though they were as she in previous episodes, and so apologies to people listening. Yes, we've misgendered them. We
definitely have, and and that's most of the stuff that I wanted to talk about.
All right. Jesse, you want to go next? I'm reading you.
Sure, I don't have a lot. First comment, I hate this episode. I hate Osyraa. I hate books, Stupid Planet, and I hate this show. Second comment, I like Adira. I think Adira is cool. I like Stamets. I like Stamets' relationship with Adira. I kind of like because they're so smart, it makes sense that Stamets would gravitate towards them, I guess, right? Because Stamets is also hyper intelligent, and it makes sense that because he's sort of just kind of getting along with them, and almost I don't know if I kind of got the idea that maybe the writers were setting up Culber and Stamets as Adira's sort of surrogate parents in a way. Right. I don't know. Did you guys kind of get that they were kind of saying hey, this might be a thing because they're only 16.
Right. They are a child. They absolutely are.
Yeah. That's a child. Right. So it makes sense that you might throw some parental figures in. Stamets makes a lot of sense just because Stamets is so smart and because they're working together. So, I mean, that's one relationship and sort of moment that I liked. I mean, aside from what we just talked about where it was bad futurism. The rest of it was garbage. This is one of those things where every week we talk about this and we talk about The Mandalorian, and usually we spend more time on this because we hate it, but I'm kind of over it. I love, there's just so many things that are bad and stupid about this show, and the writing's bad, and I'm starting to hate the people on the ship. And that's why I point to Adira and Stamets, because they're the only ones that still feel like real people.
Yeah.
I guess Adira feels like a real person. Stamets feels like a real person. Dr. Culber feels like a real person. I'm kind of really into Culber recently. He's working his way up to the top category of doctors. Certainly better than Crusher.
Oh man. Poor Crusher.
Maybe not better than Pulaski, but definitely better than Crusher. Man.
So many bad. Or what's the name of the doctor on Lower Decks? Because she's amazing. The cat.
Yeah, the cat woman.
She's hilarious. I really like her. She's best Starfleet doctor by far.
I haven't finished it. I haven't quite finished. I have a couple episodes I didn't watch for Lower Decks, but I finally got onto the next episode the other day where they put her face in the nachos because the cat's just eating nachos. The cat doctor is great. I want a live action version of that doctor.
Me too. Series. That would be really cool.
Right.
They'd ruin it.
So
they'd find a way to ruin it.
Yeah, no, but that's definitely true. Just briefly on the Stamets, I do actually like Stamets a lot as well. I think that he might be the most realistic character. I agree that this relationship makes sense, but I do, like I have said in a couple episodes ago, I do want him to retain his sharpness. I do think that he is an egotistical jerk. And arrogant, and he deserves to be those things but I think that Adira softening him maybe okay. I just really hope that they keep his edge, because I really hope that he's just prickly to everybody else except smart people, because that really to me is like one of parts of Stamets' character, and it's also a characteristic of many people I know in real life. So I think it's Jesse was saying, it just feels like a good character, because it feels like somebody that I would actually know.
Like, again,
I think the future would make it worse for him, because he comes to the future and he's like, nobody else figured out spore drives. Oh, damn it. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think it would have been so interesting to show a Stamets not sure of himself, having a sort of crisis of confidence, because his entire persona is built on being the smartest guy in every room that he's in. And he goes 1,000 years into the future, and all of the amazing, super intelligent traits that he have are just commonplace now. And he's like, oh, what's my purpose now? I'm not the smartest person anywhere. And he has to sort of work his way back into, finding a place for himself. That would have been an interesting arc for that character. But instead, everybody in the future is somehow stupider than people in the past were, and they haven't figured anything out. Not only have they figured out the problems from the past, but the problems that are new, they haven't even tried to figure those ones out either. So, okay, sure. It's just really depressing future, man. I gotta say,
they should have gotten less articulate actors to play like Federation people. So you've got like, I don't know, like I'm trying to think of like actors, like the guy from Mike and Molly, that guy.
Just get Dane Cook as the admiral.
You know the actor. He'd be the admiral. Wait, what are you guys saying? What's going on here?
Oh, the Boyne. Yeah, it was bad. Like I would have loved that.
Yeah. That would, man, you can do his voice. The Boyne. Yeah.
The what?
And they're just like surly, like disgruntled, and they don't really care about science. They're all angry. I could see Luis Guzman.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm the doctor. Get away from me. Get out of my sick bay.
It would have been.
I don't care about you.
It's idiocracy. It's you go into the future and everybody's a dummy, and it's really terrifying. Nobody knows how anything works.
Because it's like and that's what they are. They're at it like all the people are just like, we didn't care to find anything else out. Screw off. We're living in a literal bubble. We don't want to hear about the outside world or know about it.
We don't leave our planet anymore, and we don't want to leave.
I think the toughest part about that sort of Navarre sequence is like, it's like, oh, lovers of truth, like the purest, most scientific people of all time. It's like, and we thought it was us, and we just stopped researching. I'm like, what?
We don't
like you 2 sentences ago. You were talking about how like the most science-based society in the setting. It was.
We don't do much science anymore. Like, I mean, I loved that sequence on Navarre, because she was like, does the Vulcan Science Academy still do the follow the whatever it was, the ways of the is basically like defend your thesis. And she was like, yes, we do. But then she goes to defend her thesis, and none of the people have any questions challenging her thesis. They're all just like, you're dumb and you're a liar.
I read this article on Vulcan Internet, and this guy says it's wrong. And they're just like, we can't tell. We're not doing science anymore. It's all the same to us.
And then the Vulcans and the Romulans just start attacking each other. Can you imagine if you go to somebody defending their PhD thesis and the professors have no questions for them, and then they just start chirping at one another? Just like, well, Professor Johnson, I think you're illiterate. Well, Professor Williams, I slept with your wife.
And then someone just yells race war. We're going back to Romulus. Screw you guys.
And at the end, so they're like, fine, you pass. You got your PhD, whatever. That's what that strange sequence on Navarre felt like. It was supposed to be this like, they're going to challenge your thesis on every point, and they're going to scrutinize. You better make sure you have your stuff straight. And they didn't ask her anything about her thesis. They're like, we've already made our conclusions. We're not even going to read your materials. And we don't like
she
you.
didn't have it straight. When the guy asked her, he's like, so you've got 3 Starship things and they're like microseconds apart. And she's like, yeah, I think that's all I need to know. I've got 3 ships. But he's like, well, we've got thousands of ships and we've already done all the math and blah, 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 blah. She didn't prepare at all. She just showed up and she's like, you know what I'm going to win them over with? My feelings.
Yeah, and it worked.
Right? Can't you feel that this is right? Feel it.
It did work.
Yeah.
That's what this show is. Nobody in Discovery does science. The Vulcans are a microcosm of the entire Discovery universe because nobody does science. Everyone just does feelings. They're like, can't you see it in my eyes how impassioned I am about this thing? And they're like, it must be right because she looks like she's super angry.
I do there are so many things. Like, for instance, there's a sequence in this very episode where they are figuring out the burn.
I've heard this before.
The Barzans on the seed vault ship, the mother was humming it to her child.
And Gray used to play the same thing on the cello.
The computer has detected a recurrence of these precise combinations of tones since we arrived in the future.
Okay. And then after this, Saru is like, they do a bunch of close-ups on Saru's ear, right? Because he has, different, he hears different parts of the wavelengths of audio than human beings can hear. And he can see more of the light spectrum than the human eye can perceive. And he sees patterns and he hears patterns and he's like, isolate between this frequency and that frequency. But they just said that the computer has already analyzed this audio. How the computer would have analyzed this audio and not thought to go, below what we can hear or above what we can hear with our ears to look for patterns boggles my mind. This is like my wife, she watched season 1 and season 2 and she really enjoyed them. And she actually stopped last episode and she said she's taking a break because the show really frustrates her. But it does seem like they're not really trying. This is the type of thing where if you're a writer, you just ask somebody who knows about computers and artificial intelligence and algorithms and signal processing to see, what can computers sort of detect today if we were to give it an audio signal? And he would say, oh, well, if there's stuff that's outside of the range that you can hear, the computer doesn't care because it's analyzing the actual sort of recording represented in digital form. And silliness like Saru's magical, eyes being able to detect parts of the spectrum and see patterns that the computer for some reason didn't look at. It's silly. It's lazy. It's just.
And they've been upgraded with,
right.
1,000 year in the future tech on their ships. So you think maybe someone else would have noticed that everyone has been humming the same tune, and B would have found a way to analyze it pretty quickly.
Like, can you imagine if after the dropping of the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, internal combustion engines stopped working across the entire planet and everybody started singing the same melody in disconnected parts of the planet, and nobody remembers it having existed before, but everybody on the planet has some version of it now. But then every single university was like, let's not research that. We're not going to bother. Let's wait until Ferdinand Magellan shows up and he's going to figure it out for us.
It's just one of those things where you get a song stuck in your head. That's all it is. I've heard it someplace. I'm brushing this off. But the thing is, too, is like you want to ask, like, hey, where did your boyfriend Gray learn how to play that on cello? Oh, he never did. Okay, so you know what I mean? Like, there's no source for it. So it just seems like everyone would have.
Yeah, I can tell you, it's going to be something to do with the burn, and somebody embedded it in a frequency so that it would get detected because they were sure that somebody would notice the pattern of repeating musical.
They used a high-pitched tune to shatter dilithium across, even though sound doesn't carry in space. Discovery doesn't care.
I mean, it is really something, man. Like this is when, like, you know, you ask people like, who did you run this by?
The universe was out of balance because people were traveling too much. So Mother Universe, the universal Gaia life form, just took over and shattered all the dilithium and let people grow plants with their brains.
I wonder really if somebody was like, you know what's really popular? Star Wars. How do we Star Wars it up, guys? And then this is what they came up with. Why don't we put the Force in Star Trek? Yeah, nobody's ever done that before. Yeah. The Force.
Well, let's just do it in one episode or two episodes, but let's not really do it a whole lot so it's not like exciting or fun. Just enough so that it's a little bit annoying and like once in a while, like, you know, it doesn't matter in battle. There's no practical application for it in battle. It's just she cut her hand so he can grow a plant that heals it. Right. This is not an exciting skill in the future, right? There's got to be like, this is literally in the future. Like, how many times does he need to use that? Like, we saw Crusher heel cuts with like, you know, just like a wand, right? And the cut just disappears. And he's like, you think science is great? I can grow an aloe plant. You put that in the cut, it'll heal in 1 to 2 weeks. You won't even see it. Don't use the hypo spray. Those cause autism.
Oh man, he's an anti-hypo sprayer. Oh boy,
that's why they live on that planet alone.
That's what it's sanctuary from.
Idiots.
Oh, that's what it is. It's an anti-vaxxer community.
They come down and he's like, so, you know, we'd like to use a transporter. Transporter? Idiots? Don't you know what those do? Those give people COVID. It's like 5G to the max.
But it would also be awesome if like just one of their like sort of cockamamie theories turns out to be right. And if you go faster than warp 10, oh, you don't even want to know what happens.
That'd be awful because they wouldn't know in their time. And so it was like, what happens? He was like, you turn into a lizard. And so it was like, you're an idiot. But actually, yeah, you turn into a lizard.
But that's true.
That can't be a canon episode anymore. I
think we've talked about this already. Like, I think we've decided that we should probably get rid of a few rules from the old canon, and that's probably one of them.
Rule is
I think it's part of Star Wars now too. That's like Frog Lady is Janeway, right? And she's like, no hyperspace,
never again.
Didn't work out last time.
Do you know what happens when a warp 10 mutant lizard goes back to warp 10? You don't even want to know. We turn into spiders, giant spiders everywhere. My other point for episode chat was actually something that, with the new lens that I'm looking at this series through, I really enjoyed.
What's the lens you're looking at this?
Right.
Like
so
goggles.
I've decided that
you getting drunk and watching the episode.
I've decided that both of the series are no longer, they're not canon. They're more sort of parody shows. It's like they're like a lighthearted parody show of Star Trek where it's for like laughs and sort of it's like they're like comedies, and like the plot stuff is thrown in there for people who like, you know, the spacey science fiction type of stuff, but at their heart they're just ensemble cast comedies where you just have like, it's like a sitcom, you know. She's Elaine.
I mean, it's Orville.
Yeah,
right?
It's the Orville.
It's Orville.
Yeah, it's the Orville.
Yeah.
Except the Orville's actually a good Star Trek show.
Yeah, see, that's its problem. This is not trying to be a good Star Trek. It's being bad Star Trek show on purpose. Because that's what's funny. Anyway, so this is the scene that I enjoyed through that lens.
So far, we have narrowed it down to execute, hit it, and manifest.
Manifest?
Nobody likes that one.
Hit it was Captain Parks.
Yeah, but you.
That was her suggestion.
For sure. Yeah, that's what I'm.
She was practicing it in front of the mirror all day. She was like, and manifest.
Manifest. It sounds like something that Doctor Strange would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's like this scene is like, I wonder if Picard like ever like, you know, how did he come up with make it so? Did he run it by like his first mate, and they came up with a bunch of things, and they they whiteboarded it and went through a bunch, and he tried a bunch of that didn't work. Like that is the type of having a beer conversation with your friends that leads to this scene. And I feel like that's how I'm looking at this show now. This show is like all of they scooped up all of the like half drunk sort of like conversations between nerds about, I wonder how they would have dealt with this on Star Trek. And then it devolves into jokes, and they just put them all into one show, and that's how you got Discovery. Because otherwise, the show just makes me sad. And if I look at it through this light, then it's much more entertaining. Like, Saru is just, he's spitballing. They're like an SNL cast. They're just coming up with, they're riffing off of one another, just make it, execute. Yeah. No, manifest.
I hated this whole subplot for this episode. It was just the dumbest thing. Although I would like to suggest that it become Giddy Up. Giddy Up. Right? That's what he says. Like he says, he's like, Ensign, warp 10. He's like, Giddy Up.
To your point, Bert, though, like it's just to think that JL, as we call him, to think that JL would workshop his stuff, it's so outrageous. Mm-hmm. It actually makes me upset. Like the idea that he would workshop it's just so frustrating in a show that is supposed to be, the AAA science fiction offering of the day.
Mm-hmm. It's
yeah. I feel like Picard probably learned it from his dad. I feel like it was like just like something that was ingrained in his life. It wasn't like a decision. It was just a thing that he said because he grew up hearing it. Like, his father was like, should I go to town, Papa, to fetch the bottles or whatever? Like, I don't know. He's French, but he's probably, he's like a little British boy. And then he's like, make it so, right? And that's where it is. Right. And he's like, that was the warmest thing my father ever said to me. Right. Make it so.
And that's why it's his catchphrase. It makes sense.
Yeah. May I hug you, Daddy? Make it so.
But
if you must.
So from a military command point of view, like certainly there is an actual term that you're supposed to use,
there are
right?
Commands.
Like there has to be a default confirmation phrase that's in the guidelines, because I can't imagine they're just like, and then you should workshop it with your first officer. So what do you think is the default one, Bert? Like, what is the default acknowledgement of a command phrase?
I think it's yes.
Is that correct, Captain?
Yes. Or go now.
Yeah.
I think for go, it's engage. I think a lot of people use engage, don't they? Yeah. I think Kirk used engage. Picard used engage. Like, I think that's like a pretty common one. Engage.
Not manifest?
Yeah, manifest was.
But if someone asks you, should I do a scan of the planet's surface, Captain? You can't be like engage, because it's more like that's a movement thing. Then that's when you say make it so.
Or manifest. Or
manifest.
Or be.
You could just say do it.
Let it begin.
Do it.
Do it.
Little Nas X is getting his his $50 every time they say giddy up on Star Trek.
Oh my gosh. I just think that I don't know, from a Star Trek lens, I don't know why this scene needs to be in your show. I guess it's supposed to be lighthearted. It's the comic relief because you thought the plot was so heavy that it was going to be really difficult for people to make it through without having to break it up with your comic relief. I mean, the plot is not heavy. You have like Dastardly Deeds, a cartoon villain who's attacking an entire planet from space, and the planet is run by one man, and you never see anybody else. Like, you're not depressing people here. They're not going to turn it off because the content is too much for them. I don't know if you needed comic relief to break it up, but
it's just not funny. That's the thing too. They're trying to make it funny, and even when they're trying to be funny, they're not funny. Like, like Star Trek's never great at humor. Like they try. But there's some funny moments in most Trek series where they're like, "Oh, we have a good idea for a little joke. We'll work it in." Mm-hmm. Like I always really liked the android, the smooth as an android's bottom. joke in, is it Star Trek Insurrection, where he's like, what do you think, Data? Smooth as an android's bottom. And Data touches Riker's cheek, and he's like, no. Like, those are funny jokes. This is where she's just like, yeah, no one likes Manifest. We're all supposed to be like, it's so funny. He can't pick a proper catchphrase. It sounds so ridiculous when that stiff shirt Saru tries to say, hit it. It's funny when people who are stiff try to do things that are relaxed.
Mm-hmm.